Enjoying Why This Film? Then head to iTunes and leave me a review. Your support means everything and really helps the show grow. Make sure you're following the podcast on Facebook at Why This Film Podcast, Instagram at Why This Film Podcast, and Twitter at Why This Film Pod. If you can't get enough of my voice, you can hear me every Monday on BBC Radio Suffolk at 7 p.m, delving into a movie from the past, which you can vote for on Twitter. And if you'd like to be a part of Why This Film, you can. Whether you defeated Goblin Kings, saved Fantasia, became Queen of Narnia, or got slimed, I want to hear about it. Just email in with a film from your childhood to whythisfilmpodcast@gmail.com. And welcome back to Why This Film, the podcast where we reach back into your childhood, pluck out a movie, give it a rewatch, and have a chat about it. I'm Emily Slade, and welcome back.
Watched this movie so many times before, and now you're gonna watch it again. And they're like, what the fuck? Hi, Emily!
She's back! She's back. It's been like a year, like a whole year.
Yeah, exactly. Almost. Yeah. I know.
It's Tess. It's the best girl. It's Tess. I'm so excited. Like, I'm not even... What's even happening? I'm just so excited. Am I even recording? Yes, I am. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
She's fine.
Because it's Tess.
Yes.
Here she is.
Hey, everyone.
Hello, Tess.
Hi, Emily. You guys are going to find that we talk over each other a lot because we're just so excited to be together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much. The movie that you have brought to the floor today is 1988's Working Girl, the IMDb breakdown. When a secretary's idea is stolen by her boss, she seizes an opportunity to steal it back by pretending she has her boss's job. Why this film, Tess? I have a sneaky feeling that this movie about a girl named Tess might be a reason as to why Tess chose this movie with a movie about the girl called Tess.
What? Yes, I was named after Working Girl.
Nice.
Indeed, I was. Indeed. Tess McGill. And my mom has not let me forget it. And I watched this movie probably once in college and then once now. And now it just makes so much more of an impact. I'm like, all right, Mom. Like, right on. Okay.
Yes. So were you sort of like forced to watch it as a child by your mum then for her to be like, namesake?
Well, I mean, a child should not be watching this movie, to be honest. So I never watched it. I didn't watch it for a while. And I've only seen it like once before, actually, because it was never pushed on me. But yeah, I'm just so glad that was it and not like, oh, something strange, I guess. Like, I'm trying to think of something strange. I don't know. But I was like, okay.
Or just like something that's now like problematic, you know, like you're called like Tara from the fields of Gone with the Wind and you'd be like,
sorry about it. Yeah.
Woo. It's all good. So, this was a strange movie for me because I'm coming to it from 2021.
Mm-hmm.
And like 50% of me is like, huh? And 50% of me is like, fucking yes.
Right.
Like so much yes. And I think the ha mainly comes from the fact that it is 1988.
Mm-hmm.
But the movie opened with Carly Simon, which I have a lot of time for Carly Simon, like a lot of time for Carly Simon. And just to skip right to the end, it ended and I burst into tears.
Yeah.
I was like, the overview of my journey with this movie, I was like, yeah, this is really great. Oh, I don't know how I feel. Do I like Harrison Ford? I don't know. Oh, no, I do like Harrison Ford. Oh, this is really great. Oh, this is great. And then she does her, like, final line, and I was like... She's a working girl. I was so emotional.
It definitely takes you on a roller coaster, because at first you're like, Harrison Ford, he comes in hot. He sees Tess McGill at the bar, and she's like, I'm looking for Jack, and he's like, Jack left. I'm a human. Just treat me like a human. And she's like, okay, yeah, I'm not sleeping with you. And then she wakes up the next morning and her dress is off. Granted, he helped her, but then also he got in bed beside her. Like,
yeah, it's his whole... So, I'd vaguely seen the IMDb breakdown of this before I went into it, but I wanted to go in pretty blind. And so when, at the beginning, it's very sort of good in its establishment, where it sets you up, or it set me up as a woman in 2021, thinking that this was going to be about a career girl that gets ahead, sort of like Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, but with like adults instead of a kid. And it basically is that, but I think it's also very much a romantic comedy in a sense, which I don't think I was prepared for. So every time it tried to be funny or romantic, I would be like, stop, go back to her career.
Yeah.
Wait. So like Harrison Ford like oozes in and I'm like, ugh, go away. And then I remember that he's like on the poster. So I'm like, oh, I guess he's going to stick around. Not like that horrible cameo of Kevin Spacey, which is just the worst.
Yeah, whoops.
So she's surrounded by all these horrible, horrible men. Alec Baldwin, Kevin Spacey, and they're awful. And so when Harrison Ford comes in, I think you're meant to instantly be like, oh, well, he's got a rugged charm about him, and always being a bit coy and classy. But I was like, I don't know about Harrison Ford. Like, he's not up there with like Kevin Spacey, obviously, but he's not up there with like Dan Stevens.
Well, he's like the dreamboat that's fresh off of the Millennium Falcon at that point. You know, it's the 1980s, late 1980s. He's like old in Star Wars time. You know what I mean? Like, he's almost creeping up to like legend status. You know, he is Han Solo. So I think that everybody's, you know, they're expecting a lot from him. And I see what you're saying when it's like, do we love him? Do we like his character? But there's this like big heart to Harrison Ford that you can see through all of his acting. Indiana Jones, freaking everything he's freaking done. There's like this Harrison Ford heart, and that pulled through the entire movie. And he was playing, you know, he was playing an abnormal 80s man, because a stereotypical 80s man is Alec Baldwin's character, like, gonna cheat on you, gonna propose to you in front of all of her friends at an inconvenient time because I think that it's convenient for me because I really want to get over this and I don't want to be put in a corner forever. You know, like, just getting her lingerie for her birthday. Don't you like it? It's for you. Like, everything that he does is for him. And that's like the 80s New Yorker man. And then here comes Harrison Ford. He's smart, he's sharp, and he has respect for women, even, you know, not 2021 status respect. We're not there. That's where we're a little shook. But he is not a stereotypical 80s man. And that's why you love him. You know what I mean? Yeah.
No, definitely. And he did win me over. Like, I literally have a note on page 1 that's like, I don't know how I feel about Harrison Ford. And then, like, by the bottom of page 2, I'm like, I'm all on the Harrison Ford train. All aboard. Choo-choo. Let's go. I did then... There was a lot of weird, not, like, semi-nudity in this movie. Like, so much. Which made me be like, this was... written and directed by a man, wasn't it? It was. Spoiler alert. A lot of Melanie Griffith in her underwear. Yeah. In her very elaborate underwear as well. She's not in, like, Bridget Jones pants and, like, a teddy bear bra. She's in, like, underwear. She's in, like, lingerie. Yeah. Like, the kind of underwear that, like, you don't wear. Like, right. You don't wear that. No one wears that. But she does when she's hoovering. Yeah. Relatable. Yes. I was like, the 80s. Yes. Different topless, times.
Silky panties, and some heels, and a vacuum. Let's go.
Let's go. I'm a working girl. But I did have to, Google, halfway through this movie. I was like, hey, Google, what is Harrison Ford's age in 1988? And Google was like, 46.
Whoa.
And I was like, hey Google, what was Melanie Griffith's age in 1988? And Google was like, 31. And I was like, we're creeping up on 20 years difference there. I can see it. I'm going to go with it because, like, I don't really have a choice.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to note it down.
Yeah.
But, yeah, he really wins me over with his character, and he is charming, and I think the flaws that he has where he, like, can't break up with his girlfriend because he's afraid and doesn't immediately stick up for her, it makes him more like a real person as well, which I think really works for him. So if he's the sort of leading man of the piece, and we'll come to Melanie Griffith in a minute, the villain of this piece, and like, I don't know if we're going to be on the same page here.
Okay.
But they want you to think the villain of this piece is Sigourney Weaver. She is not the villain of... There is no real villain of this piece other than the patriarchy. But oh boy, do they try their hardest to make Sigourney Weaver the villain of this piece. She, in my head, made one silly mistake because it's a man's world out there and you've gotta just take what you can get. And yeah, it was backstabby, and yeah, it was shitty. But does she deserve to be publicly humiliated and fired after everything that she's worked for at the age of 30 when she's clearly so good at her job? And it's just like, it felt... okay, so we'll go into it. So Sigourney Weaver is Melanie Griffith's new boss after she gets a new job, right at the beginning of the movie. And initially she comes across as very sort of like, you know, we're going to be the best of friends, like, call me Catherine, like, it's no biggie, like, this is a two-way street, complete trust, like, your ideas and my ideas, they're going to sync together and it's going to be great. Then she breaks her leg in a brilliantly shot skiing accident, and then she's out of business for 2 weeks. Melanie Griffiths waters her plants, and when she does so, she sees that the idea that she told her she'd turned down, that no one was interested in, she was going to pass off as her own and try and make a thing. So Melanie Griffith's like, I just got cheated on. I'm getting a haircut, and I'm not standing for that. And she 180s, and she's like, cool, I'm the boss lady now, and I'm gonna do this deal. And Sigourney Weaver comes back, immediately finds out and exposes her, and then gets fired. And humiliated. And I'm just like, she has an entirely female office. So she's giving all of these women jobs. She didn't have to do that. She could have surrounded herself by men to make herself feel even more, you know, whatever. Yeah. She genuinely is... She clearly genuinely has these sort of ideals and these, you know, habits or whatever within her workplace where she's like, it is a two-way street, and, you know, you can trust me and I can trust you. And I just feel like she might have got Melanie Griffiths in on it a bit later on once it had been pulled off. And I don't think she deserves to be the villain of this piece because it's putting women against women and then replacing the one woman boss with another woman boss. We can only have one. It's like, women are evil unless they're Melanie Griffith. Well, I don't know.
I can totally see what you're saying. Absolutely. I think that we can say that maybe it was one mistake. We could say that brought all the Jenga blocks down. But really, it's like, it also begs the question, has she built an empire based on screwing people over? So I think that's really what they're trying to say. And there's no way that they can show that. They show it through the way that she'll like collapse in front of a guy and needs a chair. You know, how she just assumes that Harrison Ford's going to come home and bang her. You know, like just the way she is very presumptuous about she expects these things, and how she just lies through her teeth to Tess, to the point where almost like I was like, oh wait, did Tess fuck up? You know what I mean? Did Tess mess up? And I was like, oh wait, no, she did lie to her. And then I was telling my husband John, I was like, I know these Sigourney Weaver women. I talk about them all the time. I've always run into them. They're the ones that see other strong women, and they think, you're going to take my position because we have to fill the woman quota, and I am the one woman quota here. So if you take my job, I can't go up from here. There's, they can only have one or two women here in charge. And so that's what happens. And I felt that. And I know that like lying scheme that they do. And yes, it is women pitted against women, and it sucks. And I freaking hate it, dude. But it's like, it's real and it happens, and we're pitted against each other on purpose through a patriarchy. I mean, it's certainly gotten better. Don't get me wrong. I work with a bunch of amazing, cool, chill women in entertainment, and we kick ass. But like before that, I worked in reality TV, and I don't want to do too many details, but there was a girl there who I obviously did not get along with, someone who was my superior, and she one time pulled me in her office and said, your aggression is not warranted here. And I was like, I'm just doing what I'm told in a timely manner, in a very organized manner, and making sure you're on time. How is that aggressive? How is that rude? You know what I mean? So like, I see 100% what you're saying, and you are correct, because Sigourney Weaver was believed into thinking the only way to build her empire is on, through all these lies, possibly. But then again, we don't know. So it's like, she's not Jafar, but, but right? She hasn't killed anyone. Yeah. But you're also like, but I get where you're coming from, girl,
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And as I was all saying this, I was like, I guess it's heavily implied that this is how she does, and this is what she has been doing all her life. And whilst that may make her sympathetic, especially as I keep saying, like, it's not fair to judge this 1988 movie through a 2021 lens. And I'm here like, Sigourney Weaver is sympathetic because she's a product of her unfair society. She is still the villain of this piece. She's a great villain of this piece. She's really fun to watch. And whilst it is women against women, it also means that there's two women on the poster and only one man. Whereas if that character had been male, we would have been swamped.
Right. 100%. And that's also Harrison Ford in bringing those two pieces together. And we'll bring in, maybe this will be a little segue into Tess, I don't know. But I liked how he recognized eventually at the very end Sigourney Weaver's character, and he recognized what was happening because he knew her, and he saw the bullshit that was happening, and he helped Tess out in front of his peers, and he was able to be like, no, I need to speak for you. He was kind of like Tess's representative in a way. He was kind of her voice, and I loved how she could be like, hi, I'm Tess McGill, and I have this idea for the stock market, numbers, right? And he's like this voice that can be like, well, let me translate that to you guys, this is important, the end. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. He stood up for her, and he called out the bullshit that he saw, and that is incredibly progressive, this idea of like men helping women up as much as women helping women up. Definitely segue into your perfect Tess voice there. And I really loved that about her. She goes through the movie with like such a small and almost quite shy voice, but everything and then she's suddenly like, bam, I have a fucking insane idea for the like New York stock market. I don't know, numbers. And everyone's like, this chick is a genius. But like, she was able to do that while still being like, I got a haircut and it's really pretty. Yeah. And it's like, it is pretty, Tess. It's beautiful. I love it. You look amazing. Yeah. And she never changed. She never suddenly became like a crassy, shoulder padded sort of like, I'm a businesswoman now. As much as Joan Cusack was like a little bit overwhelmed with the hair change and stuff, she remained herself, and she's such a great character. She's very Elle Woods in that she has this brilliant character, but she still manages to go through with this like, she stays who she is, but she just gets more confident, and that's really cool.
Yeah, it is super cool. I love that she starts off kind of like, I'm a secretary, but I got this bright idea, and she stays very soft in everything that she does. And it, like, her hair transformation, what did she say? I've got a mind for business and a body for sin. I was like, spicy love.
Yeah. There was so much energy in this movie that we all need to bring into 2021. Sigourney Weaver at once says, I am, after all, me. As like a reason as to why everything is amazing and this man's gonna marry me and like I'm gonna get a promotion or whatever. And it's just like, yes, queens everywhere, just doing the thing. But no, I really loved her. I loved her friendship with Joan Cusack, who is a delight in everything. Always.
She's Jessie the cowgirl.
I love her so much. There were some really lovely moments of like women where, as Tess is packing her stuff up after she's been fired, all the women in the office are like, oh, we did like the rounds and we got you some like beer money, like what are you gonna do, implying that there was a really good camaraderie and friendship while she was taking over this leadership position while Sigourney Weaver was in hospital. And it was just a shame that we never got to see it because we were too busy with the deal and with Harrison Ford and with The Lie. So it's really lovely that it was there, but again, the 2021 in me was like, I wanted to see those friendships being formed.
Right. Well, that's the thing, and you know, this might be our running theme throughout this is 1988 watching it and 2021 watching it. When my mom watched it, she thought she was so badass enough she was gonna name her first kid after it, right?
Yeah.
So she's watching that and she's like, the battle back then wasn't like women getting along in the office. Like, women, for the most part, unless they're competition, they're dumb. Sorry. But if you think another woman you're in competition with another woman, you're dumb. I'm sorry. I'm saying it. We're all in this together. Let's all get along. Let's help each other out. Okay. Love is the answer. Moving on. It's like, that's the 2021 message, right? Hey, you know what? We're all in this together and we got to love each other, right? The 1980s, late 1980s, nearing the 90s was like the revolution of the female. Like, I mean, Sigourney Weaver was in freaking Alien, I think, right before this. Hello. And what it was women having to talk at these men who put them down constantly. And there were two types of men in this movie. There was like, or maybe there is just one, but it's the man who thinks that he can get away with passing a comment at a female, or in Kevin Spacey's idiotic case, he's in the back of a limo watching porn, drinking champagne, and she realizes she has been pimped out by her boss, and they think that is funny. You know what I mean? Nobody says if that were to happen today, hell would break loose, right? Yeah. But in the 80s, it's like, all these things are just looked over. They're like, oh, it's just a girl overreacting. We're still in that bullshit phase, right? So if a woman is standing up to a man, and she never really stood up to someone, the big times when she stood up to a man was like, don't yell at me like that, you know? And that's when I heard her. I was like, she's trying to say something. Don't yell at me like that. I'm just trying to talk to you, you know? And that's what it was. Guys felt like they could get away with stuff like that. And that to me, that's what the 1980s message to a female audience, what it is, what the battle was, male against female, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And like the only time she really does sort of lose her temper, she's got this really frightening control, as you said, because it's a man's world, and if you lose it, you've lost. And, you know, that still stands for today. If you lose your temper or if you get over emotional, you've lost. And so she's very calm the whole way through, and like, you are with her, so you have this sort of tense calmness inside of you, but it just meant that I was boiling with such rage throughout the whole movie. Every time, I mean, Alec Baldwin walked onto the screen and I was like, boo! He's gonna be evil. If I've ever seen an evil boyfriend before, he's gonna cheat on her in like 7 minutes. Like, I'm calling it now.
Yeah.
And then what's awful is not only does he, of course, cheat on her, but he the way he reacts, the first thing he says is, "Oh, did you not have class tonight?" While his penis is inserted into this like woman's vagina, and his girlfriend opens the door and he's like, "Oh, did you not have class tonight? I don't know how New Yorkers speak. Coffee. You didn't have class tonight. I can't."
There you go.
But and she's like, "You're a snake," and then leaves, and it like, power to her, man. And he says, he's like, "Come back and hit me." And then on top of that as well, when they're at Joan Cusack's engagement party, and she was so funny to me because she would constantly, and Tess calls her out on it, she would constantly almost take Alec Baldwin's side and be like, initially it was fine. It's so clever how real this movie is. Like, as someone that doesn't really watch real movies about real people, it always impresses and shocks me when a movie can portray real life so well.
Sure.
You know, when there's like not a dragon in sight or whatever. And she turns up at her engagement party and she's like, "Can you please throw him a bone, because this is my engagement party and I want everyone to be happy people." And that's a real thing, isn't it? Like, you would know someone that's like, "Can you just get over your relationship problems because I want my engagement party to be fun."
Right.
And then that all goes out of hand. But they sort of force him to propose to Tess, and thank God, I was like, she's gonna say yes. She's gonna fucking say yes. This is where this movie's going. She's gonna say yes, and then Harrison Ford is gonna have to. And like, this thing as well, I expected Harrison Ford to turn up at that party. Like, he doesn't. Of course, he doesn't. That doesn't happen in real life. I was like, oh yeah. He forces her to. He proposes to her, but while he's doing that, Doreen, or whatever her name is, who he had been cheating on her with, is not only at the party, but we get to see her look really sad. And you're like, you know what, Doreen? This isn't on you. You weren't in a relationship, and this is really hard for you now to watch this whole thing going on, and he doesn't care about you enough to realize how this might be affecting you. And it just made him shittier and the women more sympathetic. It's just and there's loads of those great little moments, like the women friendship, like Doreen's little 2-second look to camera. Like, it just full of them, just this real world with these real people. And God, when you think that 89, 90, this came out 3 years before we were born, and this was the world that these women were living in. Nuts. It blows my little progressed mind, where I'm like, this was just acceptable. This was just how it was.
Everybody was brainwashed, man. Yeah.
3 years before we entered the planet. Like, so much changed in such a short amount of time. And it just makes you really grateful for the women that put their own, like, butts on the line to, like, pioneer this and be like, yo, this needs to stop. Not the shoulder pads, because I'm a big fan of the shoulder pads, but, like, everything else needs to go. That includes your eyeshadow, Joan Cusack. I wanted to find it flirty and fun, but it just kept getting worse.
The hair kept getting bigger. Like,
it did. The more and more colors were applied to the eyelids, and it got like closer and closer to the eyebrow. I was like, Joan, pick a color.
No, absolutely. It's nuts. It's nuts what women had to go through. It's nuts to, that was their revolutionary movie. That was the movie women came out of. They're like, oh shit, I can do shit. Like, wait a minute, I can take a risk and it can go right. I don't have to have all these voices in my head saying that I'm worthless, that I'm not, that I'm not beautiful, that I'm not worth love. And
because like people woke up and they were like, I don't want to be treated like shit anymore because working girl told me that I didn't have to. Just a small shout out here on my first page of notes to when, before we get the reveal of the wonderful present that Alec Baldwin bought Tess for her birthday, he picks up this like teddy bear that's like on her pillow, which is a wolf. It's like a teddy bear of like a wolf, and it's wearing like a sheep cloak, like it's a wolf in sheep's clothing teddy bear.
Oh,
I just really noticed it. It was really fun.
Oh,
I love it, and it's up there with the bear from Die Hard. And I'm gonna start having to do like a ranking of like stuffed animals in all these movies.
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't even see that. That's a good catch. That's awesome.
Oh, I'm like always drawn to the like, what stuffed animals do they have on their bed? Because that says a lot about the characters, and like this one is so on the nose.
Yes, they did on purpose. Like, yeah, wolf in sheep's clothing. Yes.
And this is the thing. I was like, that's there for a reason. That's why I was like, oh, he's gonna cheat on her in a minute because there's a wolf in sheep's clothing bear on the bed.
I think that's a great idea. You should rate every single one. Is it like, okay, so what would your rating scale be then? Would it be like 1 to 10, or would it be like between Die Hard and Toy Story? Or you know what I mean?
Ooh, yeah. I'd have to find like the worst one. I mean, Die Hard was such a good bear. Like it was, like I dedicated at least like 3 Instagram posts to that bear. Like it was such a good bear. It just had this face that was so unexpressive but expressive at the same time. And this wolf felt the same, the way that it was wearing not only like clothes, but like very clearly like sheep's clothes in order to like be a thing. And it was so like chunky. Oh, it was so good.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, so it's when we start to meet Harrison Ford that my notes start to get a little bit like, oh, I feel a bit iffy. Because she's taken Valium, and then she takes like 2 tequilas on top of that. So then she's sort of like date raped herself, I guess.
Yeah.
Which is much better than someone else doing it.
Right, sure.
And yeah, it's all just funny ways to get her into Harrison Ford's house. But I think I was still a bit iffy about him lying, because like, we know, we're probably told, but also it's like startlingly obvious anyway that he's like, I am the person that you're looking for. And I'm like, I don't like that. Like, just see her tomorrow, because she, like, to her credit, when she turns up the next day and there's no bullshit about it, she walks in the room, she sees Harrison Ford, she has like a glimmer of like, well, shit, and then she gets on with her presentation and it's fine. But then you can't help but think, and she probably can't help but think, and maybe this is how Sigourney Weaver started, and maybe that's why she has the attitude that she has today, and it's only Tess's own personal experiences within this movie that makes her different at the end in the first place.
Sure.
That Harrison Ford is only helping her out and doing her deal because he wants to have sex with her. Like, he's just got these weird lines where she was like, I was in my underwear, and he was like, I bet you looked amazing. And I was like, stop.
You know what? You just made me realize something. And through a weird, you know how our brains work. I don't know how I connected this, but what you just said, he fakes who he is in the very beginning, and so does she.
Oh, yeah.
Like at the bar, he's like, she's looking for Jack, but he says he's left. And let's be humans and don't ask me my name. And she even goes, we have a meeting together tomorrow. So he knows he's going to have a meeting. He's already betrayed her in a tiny baby way. So I don't know. It's like, I don't know what I'm saying for that, but that's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it works really well thematically and with the like characters betraying each other. And I think it helps in a way for him to then come around to her and like believe her or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, like, shady stuff. You're right, there's definitely a meaning there, but like, I can't think what it is.
Shady
like,
stuff.
what the fuck, dude? Like, I have a meeting with you tomorrow, and like, Yeah, like, were you gonna... She obviously leaves at, like, 5 o'clock in the morning the next day and manages to get back to her apartment, get completely changed, do her hair, get new clothes on, go all the way to the meeting place for what, like a 9 a.m. meeting? Efficient, love it. Probably use of the taxi service. I understand that's a big thing in New York. I loved that she also didn't... how does New York work? Like, she goes on a boat, like Manhattan Island. Does she live on, like, the Statue of Liberty?
Yeah, so I don't really know, but I know that there's it's called the Staten Island Ferry, and I think if you live on Long Island, or there's an island that you live on that's very popular. Oh no, you know what it is? I think because there's such a gaping hole in the middle, it kind of like looks like two peninsulas, and then there's like all this ocean in between. And I think they have to cross that ocean, because if not, it's going to take them hours to get around or whatever. So I think that's just like a shortcut, I think.
Nice. Yeah. I love that. I love the idea of taking the boat to work. And she's like on the ferry every day, like, it's me on the ferry, like reading all the newspapers where she gets all of her cool ideas. I liked that as well. I liked that very sort of subplot of that she's clearly meant to represent some sort of uneducated working class woman,
right,
who is getting her ideas from popular magazines, but it's still completely justifiable as a source of information, and actually, you know, as it often does in the movies, showcases like important things that you wouldn't know from like a Cambridge library or whatever.
Right. Sorry.
So I really liked that.
Sorry. Whew, thought I was gonna sneeze. Yes. Yeah, she's just like, she's down there with everybody in the bucket of shrimp. I don't know, that's an analogy somewhere in some place here today. She's just down there with everybody else, you know, and she is like, how do I get on top? And the only way to get on top is to see what everybody else is not seeing. And she sees it and she goes for it, and she's betrayed. And then that's where she finds her fire, is when she goes into Sigourney Weaver's house and she sees that text, that 1988 text on the screen. It's like, this is my idea. She's like, oh yeah, bitch, let's go. You know?
Yeah, let's fucking go. And then perfectly timed, Alec Baldwin is like stooping another woman at that point. So she's just like, and it worked so well. It was so believable to me. I love that there's no hang up over losing him.
Yes,
I love that she takes this opportunity to just be like, you know what? I'm better than this. You're greasy. I hate you. I'm taking my wolf in sheep's clothing teddy bear and I'm moving into Sigourney Weaver's gorgeous penthouse in New York State. I don't know how America works.
Yeah.
But over there with the trees and the paths.
Yes, I love it when she gets in the car and he's like, where do you work? She's like, tree, park. And I'm like, well, she's not wrong.
Yeah. She's a vague idea, considering, you know, she's only been there like once.
You know what my favorite scene was? The wedding scene.
Yes.
Right? Wasn't that great? How she goes in, and it's probably the biggest risk she's ever taken, but she's going into this wedding that she doesn't know the bride, she doesn't know the groom, she knows that she wants the dad of the bride to make her transaction go through, and she's plotting out right before the wedding, and Harrison Ford's like, are you sure about this? And she's like, yes, I'm so sure. He's at his wedding. He's going to be happy. It's a great day. He's drinking. We're going to cut a deal. And I was like, shit.
Literally, like, that is #girlboss energy. And it makes the stakes so high because, you know, it's this huge, it's like The Godfather. It's like she's walking into The Godfather. That's how it feels. Like, you come here on the day of my daughter's wedding. And she's like, yeah, I'm here to cut a deal with you. And, like, I was really nervous for them the whole time. Like, the fucking bride, Phyllis, or whatever her fucking name is, who, like, comes into the bathroom crying, and Melanie Griffiths makes her feel better about her stupid, shitty Hawaiian-themed wedding, or, like, doesn't even, like, a bunch of random-themed wedding with her ugly dress. She makes her feel so much better about it, and she has the audacity to try and kick her out after that. I was like, fuck you. There's, like, a million people here. But, yeah, just the blind way that they're like, oh, hey, you must be on Mike's side. And they're like, yes. Mike. Big, old, way back. Anyway,
college
mergers and stocks.
Yes. numbers.
So many numbers. There was not enough cocaine, from my understanding of that area of business in the 80s. I think Kevin Spacey was the only person we saw have some cocaine.
Okay.
But then it is a 15, so they could probably only use their cocaine like once.
Yeah, one shot on camera.
And they gave it to the villain. Yeah. And, you know, it could be mistaken as not cocaine, so... there was a really gorgeous bit where... Oh, God, when was it? I think it's when she first goes in to meet Harrison Ford. Mm-hmm. And he goes, coffee? And she stands up and goes... Yes, goes to get it, and then the secretary at the door is like, milk and sugar, and she like 180s and sits back down again and is like, yes.
It's so quick,
really
right?
Brilliant. Brilliant bit of comedy, and just like completely encapsulates her character, the progression of this character, the development of this character, like where we're going to. Like, coffee is like the theme of this movie. Yes. Like, going and getting coffee is like breaking the glass ceiling in this movie as to who's getting it, where they're getting it, how they're getting it, how they're having it. Like, it's all about the coffee.
Yes, absolutely.
Because then at the very end, it happens again where the secretary's like, coffee? And she's like, yeah, where do I go to get it? And she's like, no, I'm gonna get you coffee. And then when she realizes that she's in charge, she's like, only get me coffee if you're getting yourself coffee. And I'm like, coffee and feminism hand in hand.
Coffee and feminism. That's working girl. That's it. Yes.
That is working girl. And I think, like, of everything that I've gone into, I really love this movie. Oh. It's a really great movie, and like, it's really fun as well from a nostalgic point of view. I mean, I don't have the nostalgia beyond looking at photographs of people that I know, but the wedding scene, that Joan Cusack's wedding scene, the outfits that they're all wearing are
fluffy,
like fancy dress costumes. Like, that's how bizarre they are. But you know that you've seen like an uncle dressed like that. You know that like your aunt's bridesmaids dresses looked like that, and like you don't know why. You don't know who made that a thing. You don't know if they ever paid for their sins. Yes. But somebody made it happen for like 10 years, and everybody went with it. And you're meant to take it so seriously when she's in this like bright blue chiffon gauzy dress with like a huge thing in her hair, and he's in this like, I don't even know, it's like, it's got like lace down the front, and it's like pale blue, and there's like a bow tie and like one of those like dinner things. Yeah, you know, the, like Dumb and Dumber. Aristocrats are like flips. Yeah. And I know that is what you all wore when you wanted to look good for a classy event in the 80s, but it is very difficult for me to take it seriously.
I know. And it's funny because I was thinking, I was like, if they were to have the like flat hair that we have now, that was a sin. You know? No flat hair. It's got to be huge. And I remember watching... Yes. I remember watching this episode of Full House, and DJ Tanner, she puts her hair up because it's like in the very, very early 90s. And she starts spraying her hair, and it's a joke, but she sprays it for 30 seconds, 60 seconds. Like, it just keeps going, and it's like wet and has to crust. And she's like, perfect. And I was like, that's probably real. I know it's a joke, but like, that's probably real.
It's like based in some reality.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, I've got here, I've changed my mind and I'm invested.
Good.
But yeah, and then beyond sort of this idea that I think you can see where the characters were meant to lay in terms of their archetypes back in 1988, and they may have all shifted around a bit. Like, I feel like Alec Baldwin is like an unforgivable villain, whereas I think he was just meant to be the shitty boyfriend, but to me he's gross. Jafar.
Yes.
Like, he is like, there's no coming back from that. And then, the last note I've got in a different colour so it stands out is when she sits down after all we've been through. She sits down and she picks up the phone and she says, Sin, guess where I am? And we cut to Carly Simon coming in again with her award-winning original song for this movie. And we don't hear the conversation. We just sort of see a wide shot of Joan Cusack in this like Wolf of Wall Street type office full of women. And she stands up and she clearly announces what Melanie Griffith has told her to this room of women. And you just hear the sort of glimpses of like, she has her own office or whatever, and all of these women like erupt in like celebration, and then we come back to like solo Melanie Griffith in her office as we pan out the window and we look in the building block of every other office is filled with a man, and she's there with her hair and her eyeliner, and I I burst into tears. It was so emotional, even in 2021, which could be argued to be a bad thing because we're not like, oh, good. It's, like watching the suffragette parades where we're like, thank you. That's really great.
Right.
Like, it still has so much meaning and it's so important. And it was so, all this like silent, nervous rage that Melanie Griffith had been keeping in throughout the movie and I had been keeping in throughout the movie comes out in just this like that Simpsons line where Lisa's like, I don't know if I can bear this anymore, and Marge says something like, you're a woman, you'll learn how to bear it forever or something. I just butchered that wonderful quote from The Simpsons, but you know what I mean. And it feels like that. It feels like she never shouts it. It never gets cathartically booted into somebody's crotch. It just like comes out of her mouth in her whispery little voice and just leaves through the window. And you're just like, I'm a fucking working girl. Yes. Roll credits.
Roll credits, baby. And I loved how when they panned out, you're just like, wow, she's an ant in a giant anthill. There are so many, and we got to see one facet of a story. We got to see one of those stories today. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, man. And it just like, it was just really great. It was just really good.
When it's all... When it's unfolding itself and it's blossoming, you're not sure if you love it yet. And that's how it is in real life. The things that you do and the things that you look back on now and you're like, shit, I'm so glad that fucking happened. Thank God it made me go this direction, right? But as it's happening, you're like, this sucks a little bit. This is great. This sucks. This is great. I'm scared. Oh, shit. And then at the very end, when we see it as a nice little package that it is, it's like, wait, that was a great story. That was great.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. That's the perfect way to describe it. It's so real and it's so good, and I just hope that Sigourney Weaver can like pick herself up and learn some valuable lessons and like do what Tess was gonna do and start over. She'll probably have to get she's in her parents' apartment, so that's fine. I thought we were going to get to meet her parents, and her mom in the photo on her desk looked like that lawyer lady from Legally Blonde who's married to Sarah Paulson, and I thought she was going to be a character in this movie. I was very excited for that, but that never happened, and I think that was just in my head. But there's a HBO TV series about Sigourney Weaver's character. 80s is hot right now, Stranger Things.
Oh,
so like get on that HBO.
Yeah.
And cast Sarah Paulson's wife as her mum.
Right.
Do that for me, please. Thank you.
Let's do that.
But yeah, no, I loved it. That's all my notes. It was great.
I love it. Great. I'm so glad you liked it. And I'm glad that we could review this. This was really special for me because that's what I'm named after. And I haven't like I watched this once in college and I didn't think I was like, okay, that was great. But now that I'm actually 30 and Tess is 30 in this movie on the dot, I was like, I get it. You get to 30, get a little fed up. Let's get the fuck out of here. Let's get a corner office. Let's go. Right? So, so important. And it's even important for 2021 girls to know how far we have come. And just that, to keep pushing, to keep taking those risks, because when you break those rules and you take those risks, good things happen, man. The universe has got your back, baby.
Yes, definitely. And even as like a, like I think this should be up there with like 13, where it should be like obligatory viewing for like women, like a certain age. I loved that she was 30. I loved that Sigourney Weaver was 30, because you don't ever hear a woman be 30 in a movie.
Yeah,
like really, like
they're always 20
she's
something.
like 16, 20 something, 40, widowed, dead. That's your lifeline as a woman in a movie. But no, we've got some 30-year-old working girls. And just really great.
It's a great
Amazing.
time. I love it. Yay. Thanks for having me, girl.
Oh my God. Thank you for coming on. You will be on again countless times. I'm shocked that it took us a whole year.
Yeah.
And it's because my diary is so packed.
Yeah.
All my guests that want
Are
to
you
come on.
are you
So
a
popular.
working girl, Emily?
I'm a working girl. I do have to say, every time I thought, I need to watch Working Girl, and it's going to be so obscure and you're not going to have a clue what I'm talking about. Starkid Productions are a theatre company that came from a musical theatre school in America, and they are most famous for creating a Harry Potter musical. They will write and act in and record their own original musicals and put them on YouTube. And they have done many of these, from a Harry Potter musical about 10 years ago with Darren Criss, all the way up to things like The Trail to Oregon more recently. And one of them is called The Guy Who Didn't Like Musicals, and it's a sort of sci-fi pastiche of the old sci-fi movies, about how suddenly everyone starts singing, and there's this one guy and he really hates musicals, so it's horrible for him. And at one point they go and visit a professor, and he talks about how while he's been in his bunker trying to avoid the end of the world, he's been writing his own musical, and it's called Working Boys, and it's meant to be a sort of piss take of the sort of modern musical, your sort of Dear Evan Hansen's and You're All About Jamie's modern musical. And basically he's like, it's called Working Boys, a new musical. And it's like, working boys, we're up to our ass in shit. What is this business? Markets are crashing and I'm at the edge of my wit. And it's all about these people that work in stocks and bonds, and they're working boys and they're fed up and they just want to go and play football in the park. And so every time I heard Working Girl in my head, it was like, working girl without her message. And it worked because she worked in stocks and bonds, which I still don't really know what those things are. But yeah, it made me laugh, and maybe some of you will get that. Flo will get that reference. Nobody else will get that reference.
I'm here for it.
But yeah, it's really reminded me of that. Do you have anything to plug?
Oh, you know what? I do. Hey, this is left freaking field. But if you want to roller skate, I am a roller skater, and I have been for 25 years. And I played roller derby professionally for 5 of those. So if you like roller skating or you want to learn roller skating, I love teaching beginner skaters. Come on over to Skate with Tess on YouTube, or youtube.com/Tess Llanos. And that's TELLSS. A-N-O. Wait, that's not how you spell my name. T-E-S-S-L-A-N-O-S. Tels Llanos. Yeah, that's it. I know that's left field, and the reason why Emily and I know each other is because I used to be a podcast host, and hopefully that will happen in the future again. But right now I'm on a long break, and guess what? That doesn't mean that Emily and I break our friendship. No, we're still friends. So here I am.
Yes. And Tess is a skater. It's really cool. Go and check over. She's got loads of tips on how to not fall on your butt.
Yep.
I personally freak out every time someone tries to put something on my feet that's not like a normal shoe. I find it very frightening and dangerous, and I think anyone that's able to do that is a magic person and got a special skill from like a fairy when they were born that I missed, because and Tess has that skill. Tess is that fairy. She's she's literally Elliot Page in Whip It.
Oh,
that's literally what I always come back to, because I'm like, I know roller derby. I watched a movie about that once.
my friends are in it. Those people actually became my friends, and they were my teammates. Yeah, the girls who were deaf in that film. One of them is one of my closest friends, Chrissy Crash, and then the other one was my coach, Iron Maven. Yeah.
Oh my god. This is how legit she is. Go to her YouTube channel and learn how to skate, because you need it for your TikToks and your Snapchats and your... I don't know what the kids do these days. It changes too fast.
It does, truly.
But thank you so much for coming on. It was a pleasure, as always. And we'll see you next time on Why This Film. Bye! Bye!
It's called Workin' Boys, a new musical. It's the story of a group of old college chums, sure. They found success in the business world, but still, they long for the simpler times in that beat-up old house at the edge of college campus. But those glory days, they're gone for good. Or are they? This is the title number. Business calls, I'm up to my ass in shit. What's this business? Markets are crashing and I'm at the edge of my wits. I just can't take it when all I want to do is spend a day with Greg and Steve and Stu and Mark and Leighton and Chad and ring, ring. The phone rings. I answer it. Oh, hey, Greg. I'm swamped with business. Stocks, bonds, golden parachutes. Remember those days on the football field, Greg? Last week feels like ages ago. Today, after work, on the football field, the old stomping ground, eh, Greg? Just you and me and Steve and Stu and Mark and Leighton and Chad. 5 o'clock. I'll see you then, Greg. I'll see you then. All I want to do is spend a day with Steve. And 5 o'clock can't come soon enough. 5 o'clock can't come soon enough. 5 o'clock can't come soon enough. I can't wait to get home to my boys. place. A show-stopping number, a real showstopper, an aria to rule them all. They'll throw us their money at full price admission. The world will come crumbling down. Hamilton, move over. Your new competition's in town.